Hey everybody, it's Jared Hope and Krista Hope with Tilt Property Group. Chris and I are probably, I guess the easiest thing to say is we're on a mission to educate. Yeah?
Yeah.
And our journey, we started buying our first piece of rental property in 2003, and along the way we made all kinds of mistakes. And so our mandate right now is to give back and just tell people kind of some of the shit that we went through.
I'm going to say that differently.
Oh.
We're on a mission.
Sure.
We're on a mission to save people the mistakes we've made.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, way better way to say that.
Yeah.
So as you can see, Chris and I have two different personalities. I'm a little bit more, I kind of shoot first, or shoot and then kind of aim, where Krista aims and then shoots. So, so with that said, it kind of segues into some three challenges that we've had in growing our portfolio. In no specific order, but one of the challenges was buying the wrong properties.
Yeah.
And when we started out, how many properties did we used to go look at nights or during the day or on MLS using agents that, didn't really understand what we were looking for. So one of the common big mistakes that we made over the years is just buying, a piece of shit, right? Mm-hmm. And, I didn't do much of the books and I didn't do much of the finances on in our business, but in your world, you did a lot of the books. What was the impact on that?
Well, it was a lot of stress, obviously. Are we on the next one?
No.
Oh, we're still on
The buying the wrong properties.
Well, I think the buying the wrong properties.
Because they kind of segue into each other, right?
Well, right. We were a little too eager to get her done, I guess. Mm-hmm. And so would let go of our, I don't want to say values, but parameters of what was good, and convince ourselves that a property could work.
Yeah, we were buying the wrong properties because we were using people who didn't really understand what we were looking for or understand what an investment was. We were buying the wrong properties because they would cash flow, say $100 a month, and then excuse me, and then we'd sit there and say, well, you know what, we're going to property manage it, so we're going to take up the management fees, and and all of a sudden we just started fudging the numbers a little bit, or not fudging, but manipulating the numbers to make it work. And at the end of the day, it didn't work, which put stress on the finance side, because all of a sudden when it came time to pay bills, it was getting harder and harder mm-hmm. to pay those bills. And a lot a lot of people, they get off starting in investing, and they go to a workshop or they go to a program or they go to hear someone talk, and they come out all hot and horny for real estate, and then they go off and buy what? It's true.
Yeah, that's one way to say it.
It's so true. But they come off all hot and horny for a piece of real estate, and then just go buy something. Yeah. And a lot of times they buy stuff that they just shouldn't be buying because they're not thinking 10 years down the road, which segues into our next challenge that we had was roles. Who does what? Because you and I are two different people, but we had the same outcome that we wanted to achieve of owning real estate. And along the way, we started out as on par, where we'd both go look at properties, we'd both go try to do finances, we'd both try to do everything, we'd try to do it all equal. But that brought up some challenges.
Yeah. So if you have a partnership, we have different strengths. So we're lucky to have each other, because
she's really lucky to have me.
We make a really perfect person together. And if you're on your own doing it, you just get to do everything, and you don't have to worry about division of roles. But clearly knowing who's responsible for what. Somebody taught us once that there's no such thing as we. When we get something done, nobody gets something done. Mm-hmm. And we learned a lot of that the hard way.
Mm-hmm. Who taught us that?
Stephanie.
Stephanie
Hanlon.
Yeah. Yeah, so years and years ago, Chris and I, we've done all kinds of coaching, and Stephanie Hanlon was one of our coaches, and she's married to Patrick Francie, who one of our partners as well, owner of the Real Estate Investment Network. So, dividing the roles is massive, and not only dividing the roles, but having clear communications is super, super, super important. And I think that's probably one of the roadblocks that we kept on bumping up against, because we would say, or I would say we, you would say we, and at the end of the day, nothing would get done. Yeah. And the other thing I would say about splitting up the roles is, play into your strengths, not your weaknesses. And one of my weaknesses is organization. One of your strengths is organization. One of my strengths is sales and go finding the deal. I'm not saying that's one of your weaknesses, but that's not one of your drivers.
Yeah.
So we're very fortunate. I'm very fortunate to have you as my partner, just like you're very fortunate to have me as your partner. So with that said, if you have a partner, align yourselves accordingly to play into each other's strengths, and don't try to do everything together because it's just impossible. It's just not going to work. What's the third challenge that we would have had?
Well, it was the administration.
Administration.
And so my fault in that is I knew there was weaknesses and I wasn't getting on top of the administration like I wanted to and needed to, because I just wasn't catching up fast enough. And
well, because we worked. We had full-time jobs and we
right.
were growing this portfolio.
But I knew that was important, and I could have said, listen, we need to slow down a little bit. We need to get this stuff in order and clear, and then let's move forward.
So I guess the fourth challenge that I would add into that is just move at a reasonable pace. In our first year, we bought 3 properties. Our second year, we bought 8. In our third year, we bought 64. And 64 properties, looking back, 14, 15 years later, didn't make any sense. I would never advise anybody to do that today. For many reasons, it's just impossible to manage. And the challenges that it came with we learned massive, massive lessons. So the fourth thing I would add to that is move at a reasonable, slow pace, and understand that buying investment properties is not, it's not a race. It's definitely a game, and you got to play to win. In order to play to win, you have to have a strategy and a plan.
Yeah.
In order to have the best outcome, as opposed to just running off, hot and horny out of the course, buying 3 or 4 properties, and then 5 years later regretting you bought those properties.
And I think if we had back then understood to focus on what we wanted, then it might have helped us slow down and make better decisions in the moment.
Yeah, so maybe number 5 is get clear on what you want. Like, guys, there's so many lessons that we've learned over the years that we've taught ourselves. And, the universe has taught us this game has taught us many, many lessons, and some of them have cost us tens of thousands of dollars, and we're still paying massive amounts of money on a monthly basis for properties that we just should not have bought. So, it's super important to learn from these mistakes today versus learning from them on your own in 5 to 10 years like we are now. So with that said, this is Krista Hope. I'm Jared Hope. We're with Tilt Property Group. We'll be doing more of these videos, and if there's anything you guys need from us, by all means reach out. Happy investing, everybody.